Go on.
I love that. I'm trying not to like Ange, obviously being, manager of that mob up the road. Exactly. But I can't, because I do really like him. It's like liking the geezers run off with your missus. Do you know what I mean? You think he's quite a decent bloke, really.
Actually,
yeah. It's like, but the two things there when he says about Yves Bissouma, where it's not malicious. It is malicious because he's actually gone with a straight foot with his stud showing, and he's lucky he doesn't catch Yates with his foot in the ground or his knee, because that can be like a bad ACL, or it could be an ankle breaker, if you actually catch the foot that's in the ground. So, and when he said there, Coops, obviously like his best mate, used to go to school with him. He said, I'm a good, poor old Coops said, I was in the same position a couple of weeks ago. And you go, Ange, mate. You wasn't.
Come on.
No,
yeah.
You're
never
safe.
getting fired.
You've got a free season because of the rabble that they were under, obviously, Antonio Conte, right? But two, the way that he's got his team playing, and the Spurs fans love the front foot.
You've got even more credit in the
You've
bank.
got miles more credit. And if you're going to get beat, Spurs fans rather their team got beat the way that they're playing than the dirge they saw under Mourinho and Nuno Espirito Santo and Conte. The only thing is with Spurs fans is, which has happened, and they've stayed with him, you're going to have a period of time where the results ain't going to go great, because that high line and the high press, you're going to get caught out.
And you got to stick with it. You got to
exactly.
There'll be some downtime.
And he said he will not. His actual quote was, "I won't blink."
Yeah.
And hats off. I mentioned about the Etche going there and playing that way against Man City with a team that's on full strength. But just looking at Spurs, do Spurs fans think they're in general
well, let's hear from them.
Contention for the title.
I want to hear from Spurs fans and Forest fans. 03717 223344. Let's speak to Ben, the Spurs fan. Good evening, Ben.
Evening, how you doing?
Hello, Ben.
Very good, mate. Very good. Two questions for you. First of all, are you in a title challenge? Are you challenging for the title? Even put my teeth in. And secondly, do you have concerns about the discipline from Bissouma in midfield?
Since the start of the season, I've always said I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We've had a couple of dross years with the style of football that we've played, and underachieved with potentially the calibre of manager that we've had. So I'm not getting ahead of myself, but when you look at the table, considering that before the back-to-back wins, we'd lost 4 and drawn 1, and we're only 4 points off the top, it could be a lot worse. I think top 4 is realistic, but City in the second half of the season switch it on and win 13, 14 in a row. Arsenal haven't been touched at their very, very best, and they're still sitting in the top 2. So it's going to be hard. I think no European football will help, but yeah.
Okay.
I've only seen us win one trophy ever in my life, so it'd be nice to try and get something else in the cabinet. And the ill-discipline, it's not just Bissouma. I think it's the whole squad's got a bit of an issue. Like, Udogie's got another yellow today. He's now suspended for another game. He got sent off against Chelsea. Romero's had his issues. Bissouma's now been sent off. And in the midst of an injury crisis, when players are dropping left, right and centre, like we lost Brennan Johnson again today, Lo Celso's now out as well. Like, I love the style of football. I love the all-out attack, but it just shows the naivety of some of these players, and it's something Ange has got to, get a foothold of, because these players are going to be the biggest downfall, I think, in terms of us doing something special, because they just can't control themselves on pitch.
Ben, you mentioned Ange Postecoglou there. You're getting a manager who's at his prime and at his peak, where I think you had Conte and Mourinho were past their prime and peak. Do you know what I mean? So the timing's
I agree.
The timing's been great. And on the discipline side, what he has to try and do is he wants your team, and you want your team to play with aggression. You want them to be on the front foot. You want them to impose themselves on the opponents. But then all of a sudden, you've got to manage yourself in the game. Because Bissouma's sending off, when you're 2-0 up, you can actually ease off a little bit and say, right, I haven't got to make these 50-50 challenging tackles. Do you know what I mean? I've just got to make sure that I get back into the team shape.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point. We were 2-0 up at that point. We were pretty comfortable. And of course had the disallowed goal, half the team was offside. But other than that, I don't really think they had too much in terms of chances being created. So at 2-0, the game was pretty much won. And that's where I think that from Ange, I think he's been a bit stubborn to kind of, like, let's just knock it down a gear now. The game's under control.
Yeah,
and
just
take the 3 points home and get through it, especially considering the position we're in.
Ben, I'm going to ask you a question that I'm going to ask all the Spurs fans that are going to ring in. You have a choice: top 4 or you win the FA Cup.
Oh, what a question!
That's why I asked it. Come on, then.
I would say the FA Cup because
Loving your work,
right
Ben.
now we ain't got the squad depth to compete in Europe and go all the way. We were very, very lucky in 2019 when we got to the final with Poch. So, yeah, give me the trophy. Let's just get that on the board.
Cheers for the call, Ben.
Cheers, Ben.
Let me squeeze in one more Spurs fan. Let's speak to Archie, the Spurs fan. Let's start with that question that Perry just asked. Is it top 4 for you or an FA Cup?
Evening, guys. You all right?
All right, Archie.
Very good, mate. Very good.
That's a difficult one. I kind of have a good point to make here. If we win the FA Cup, we get in the Europa League. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
we get Europa League football. And then if we win the Europa League, we get Champions League. And I'm not going to say we're going to ever win the Europa League. But I just think from where we were last season, I think we'd have taken any European football. So to have a trophy and a road into a European competition, I just think that's success in itself, really.
So you've gone FA Cup over top 4?
Well, yeah, but obviously it's a trophy, and it'll end all that sort of all the banter made about Spurs not winning anything.
I don't know. One trophy in the cabinet.
No.
Still a bit of banter to be had, if you ask me.
This is warming the cockles. This is old school. This is proper old school where it's trophies.
Yeah. I just think it'll help as well with the confidence. If we win a trophy, that's what we brought him in for. Let's be honest, Ange Postecoglou. I mean, the style of football, everybody that wins trophies now plays that way. And I think that if you want to win a trophy, you have to play that way. So to answer your question, Perry, FA Cup for me. And
just briefly on the game tonight, what do you think that win will propel you to go on to do? We've got a busy Christmas period coming up. Do you think you're is top 4 still the target, or do you think actually, why not? We've come through a bit difficult period. Can we get more than 4th?
Well, we've already kind of come through a difficult period, but classic Spurs games this season, it always ends with somebody either getting injured or suspended, and it happened twice. Brennan Johnson injured, hopefully he'll be back for the Everton game, and Bissouma suspended. So before tonight, or actually before that happened, when we were 1 or 2-0 up, I really did believe that we were going to go on and on another sort of unbeaten streak like we did at the start of the season. But Everton at home is going to be tough. I think Man United at Old Trafford, they're not, let's be honest, they will come back at some point. And at Old Trafford, we don't have the best record over the last few years. So I'm not too sure. I think if we have key players that come back in, Bissouma's going to be out for a while. I heard you say, Jordan, that he could be out for 5 games.
It'll be at least 4, yeah.
Yeah, and Bentancur's not going to be back till February. I don't really trust Oliver Skip to hold that fort for that long, or Højbjerg. I think Papsar's been a sensation this season, but on his own, I really think he needs sort of a more level-headed player in Bissouma or Bentancur with him. So I just think we're going to struggle in that midfield over the next few games.
Listen, Archie, cheers for the call.
Archie.
Well done tonight. 2-0 winners for Tottenham.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.